Well, in today's Chords and Coffee, I am being crushed in the crucible of personal growth. Here we go! I'm slightly terrified. Here's what's about to happen. Alec, who is my friend and sort of our marketing captain, as well as just creative leader for all these endeavors and just lots of things in the company, challenged me. He said, I'm going to send you some tracks. I'm not going to give you any insight into the tracks. You're going to play along with them and do that in real time in a moment of vulnerability, but also talk through it. And, you know, for me, I don't know about you, but a lot of times what helps me the most is learning how another guitar player thinks and how that guitar player approaches real world situations. And I'll be honest with you, there's been a lot of situations in my life, musically speaking, where I walked in to play with some folks and I didn't have a whole lot of information. Sometimes didn't even know what song I was about to play. And you might say, well, what in the world kind of awful deal is that? Well, you'd be surprised how often that comes up. You know, sometimes you're figuring out what you're going to play as you're standing on the stage getting tuned up, right? I don't recommend it, but like life, it just happens sometimes, right? And so what we're doing here is I've got this computer set up here behind me. I'm going to hit a button. I'm going to play a track. I don't know what these tracks are. I'll tell you they're elevated jam tracks. And if you're looking for a great resource on tracks, there's been several Chords and Coffees ago where I did play with some of them. And I just can't say enough good things about elevated jam tracks. So we'll put a link in the description of this so you can go find them. They're super inexpensive. I mean, it was like a couple bucks, right? Isn't that what he said? It was like, I mean, it was, you know, the dollar menu of tracks, but maximum value. They sound really good. And so there's a million of them. I don't know which ones these are. I'm gonna play, so I've got my line direct rig here. I'm going through this Focusrite interface. I'll show you here in a second the pedals I'm using. And actually, I may throw a curveball in on that situation here in a second too. But I'm stalling here because the God's honest truth is I'm a little nervous because I got to play in front of you and I don't know what I'm going to do. And now I've got to talk the talk and walk the walk. But hey, let's go! Enough of this delay of accountability. So Jordan, help me do this right here. So I'm going to hit record first. Is that right?
Yep, and it'll start going.
So I'm going to listen to it for a second. Let's find out what key we're in here. So if I play any notes, I should, if I'm not right, I should be a half step away from the right note. And I don't have perfect pitch, so I have to kind of just guess this. Hey, I got lucky with F sharp. I don't get to say that often, but if I can, I'm going to do it. Okay, so I think we're in the key of E. Roger that, we are in the key of E. Ghost Rider, you are clear to buzz the tower. All right, so it's looking like we got a little F sharp minor 7 to B7 or B13. It's a little 2-5-1 into E, and then there's this little diminished doohickey thing that happens. It's something like this. I'll figure it out later. Maybe, I don't know, Chords and Coffee. Here we go. Let me see if I can actually play something over this. Here we go. on this Friedman IRD. I'm gonna roll the gain back, turn the volume up a little bit more master, and we'll get a cleaner tone. And that's the general idea of it. So in my head, I was just kind of noodling around with E, and just full disclosure, I didn't really, at no point during any of that did I go, hey, this is really good. You know, usually if I feel like I'm doing something good, there's kind of a moment where I kind of get out of my head, but I was pretty much in my head. This is vulnerable. Jordan's laughing at me. This could be the worst episode. This could be my last episode of Chords Coffee. So let's see. In my mind, I was just thinking, okay, E major ideas, and so I was thinking about this position here, this E major 7. We've talked about this in the major 7 episode. I was thinking about this guy right here, and then because it was a 2-5-1. And then I think there was kind of a kind of moment, and I never. So this diminished chord, think of this as a half diminished, where you've got your middle finger on the 8th fret. I'm not going to give you chord charts for these, by the way, because this is really about watching me suffer and less about you learning anything. So there you go. 8th frets, middle finger, A string. Ring finger is going to be on the 9th fret of the D string. Index finger is going to be on the G string of the 7th fret, and then pinky is going to be on the 9th fret of the B. And you're going to basically, in terms of walking this up, it's a symmetrical chord. So all the notes, you basically just follow the note pattern of, what am I trying to say? Each one of those notes can be the root note of the chord because they're all symmetrically spaced. So I go from this F to the A flat to the B to the D using the same progression. So nice slow one to start off with. Let's go to the next one. Okay, next track, I'm gonna get some coffee. This is vulnerable time. Like I am just like I didn't get the darn coffee pot on the thing. I'm just like you, where I have my own insecurities about things. You know, I want to play something brilliant every single time. And honestly, how do you practice being spontaneous? You got to throw on some tracks and just start playing with them, or go play with some people in front of some other people if you want to have the real pressure of real life and, you know, being spontaneous in front of people, right? A little shot of Chords and Coffee. All right, let's see here. Look, I already dropped my pick. All right. No idea. Here it comes. So I hit the record button. Here it comes. It's the blues. So it's in B. Put on my slapback. So that was the blues in B. At the very beginning, you saw me kind of hunting around until I found the tonal center. Sometimes you get lucky. Like on that first track, same general idea, and I just happened to land on an F sharp, and then that worked. And then the next note that I chose, I think was an E, I don't remember, but it worked. And so pretty quickly, you know, it's like fishing. Sometimes you just cast your line in the right spot of the pond and there's something there to get the worm, right? This one, you know, and then found it and then like, oh, okay, cool, we're in B. I will tell you, I definitely felt like I was busy, like I was, you know, in my head again, right? But there was also some fun moments in there too, like when the band did the break and I did that little BB box moment where there was something like that. I think I was on rhythm. And all that is, there was an episode of me and Mike. Remember me and Mike, we were playing acoustic guitars together. If you haven't seen that, you should watch it. That's a fun one. But we were basically talking about tools that you can use in a jam, and here we are. And I'm doing this BB box, which starts on the 11th fret of the G, and then the 10th fret of the B, 12th fret of the B, and then 10th fret of the high E, 12th fret of the high E, straight out of the B minor pentatonic scale. You know, it's a simple lick, it's a simple spot, it's nothing hard to do, but it's like Kenny Warner said, the guy that wrote Effortless Mastery. He's always talking about all those people really want to see is someone who's comfortable in their own skin. And sometimes to have that comfort, or maybe better said, to have that confidence, it doesn't take dazzling technique. It doesn't take somebody who's got the holy cow, how's he doing that Jeff Beck, Steve Vai, insert your favorite guitar player kind of chops. Sometimes it just takes somebody saying a simple truth confidently in such a way that not only inspires the listener, the band, but also just kind of brings everybody together. And sometimes you can do that with 3 notes in a pentatonic scale. There's a lot of guitar players that do that. Works out real good for them, right? So there's some mess up moments. I got a little too shreddy, or if shreddy is the wrong word, too verbose in my phrasing. And then I had a moment where I was doing this unison bend, this kind of thing, like as a, for instance, if I'm doing it on B here, index finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the high E, and then ring finger is going to be on the 10th fret of the B, and I'm going to leave my index finger where it's at, and then I'm going to bend my ring finger up. And so the ring finger is playing that B note here, so I'm really playing this, right? But it's the getting there that's the cool, right? Because it's kind of a scream thing, right? Anyway, I just remember I was on the wrong spot, and I ended up having... And then I'm on the major third of the E, which was a real, like... I don't think Dave Grissom would approve of that, because he's usually like, avoid the third. But you know what? I put my spoon in the major third soup, took a big old gulp, and served it up to you. I hope your ear holes are okay. If you make a mistake, and you are going to make mistakes, I mean, all of my favorite guitar players do, and they own it. That is really the key. But I think what happens is when we get so fearful of making mistakes that we don't get bold and we don't try things. And honestly, it's funny, there's a guy named Colonel Bruce Hampton who is no longer with us, but he is the godfather of the jam band music scene. And he was in an interview once, and he said, one of the worst things is seeing one of the greats who are truly great, and they walk out on stage and you know they're going to be great, but you don't get a chance to watch them try something, to play on the edge of their playing, right? And he would do just bizarre things on stage. Like he would have a guy just come out and just eat a bowl of cereal, literally. That would be like something that you just like, whoa, what's happening here? Or just read a newspaper or something like that. You don't have to go that extreme. But if you do mess up, like I did when I hit that, and it wasn't technically a mess up, but it wasn't what I intended, just own it. Because sometimes you find yourself in a moment that isn't exactly what you conceptualize it would be, but it's still a good moment. A lot of life is like that too. Just enter into the moment, see what happens, use your ear, listen, observe, You know, I tell my kids all the time, use your powers of observation just to see what's going on around you, because it actually might end up being better than you even imagined before. So I hope this was helpful for you. This is me playing with some backing tracks. If you like this, if you're like, yeah, Nate, do that again and talk us through what you're thinking, comment below. You know, you guys are the most encouraging community of guitar players out there on the internet. Did you know that? It's a God's honest truth. I appreciate you. You know, we do this every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. We're living life the best we can with the guitar in our hand. I'll see you next week, friends, for another Chords and Coffee.